I have never been present when someone was raised from the dead. In fact, I'm interested to take a congregational straw poll this morning, so don't be shy. Will anyone who has ever physically seen someone who has been dead 4 days suddenly raised to life again, please raise your hand and keep them up where I can count. I ask because I have a question from this lesson about from John's Gospel that I think someone who had been in a similar situation might have a better handle on than I do. The question is, why did Jesus weep? I have heard that Jesus wept because he lost a friend. I suppose there's a little of that. I've heard that Jesus weeping serves to show his very human emotions. I suppose there might be a little of that too. But here's the thing that keeps nagging me about this question, the reason I can't understand why Jesus wept. It's the fact that he knew Lazarus was going to be raised from the dead. He said it to us on Wednesday. Do you remember? Mary and Martha, Lazarus' sisters, send Jesus a message that he is very sick. Jesus, instead of leaving to go to them, waits 2 days. Then he says to his disciples, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to awaken him." The disciples said to him, "Lord, if he's fallen asleep, he'll be all right." Then Jesus told them plainly, "Lazarus is dead. For your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe, but let us go to him." It seems pretty clear to me that Jesus knows what is going to happen here. What's more, Jesus has been building to this crescendo for a while now. Sometime before, when he was preaching in Jerusalem, Jesus yelled at the crowd, "Very truly I tell you, the hour is coming and is now here, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live." The raising of Lazarus might have come as a surprise to many of the people in attendance, but it certainly seems like it was no surprise to Jesus. So I ask again, why did Jesus weep? Why not just get straight to the good part? What good is a Jesus who wastes his time weeping when he could be raising people from the dead? Just east of Jerusalem, in Isaiah, is the Church of St. Lazarus. You walk up the hill from the church, and you can take stairs way down into the traditional site of Lazarus' tomb. You go down into the earth. You imagine hearing Jesus' voice, and it is quite an experience. Then you come out, and you realize that you're a stone's throw from the security wall that has been built to separate Israeli from Palestinian territory, quite literally, dividing one people from another. You can almost see to the huge Jewish cemetery on the Mount of Olives, as well as any number of Palestinian burial sites. You can see grief, poverty, hurt, want, need, desperation, all right there close to the center of the world. I stood there beside the Church of St. Lazarus this summer, and as a member of our group read this story, I realized that perhaps Jesus was weeping at the human condition. Perhaps even though he had the power to raise the dead, he realized that people would still suffer, be sick, be in need, would still die. Even if he started resurrecting people in Bethany and didn't stop until he dropped. Sometime after the whole gospel that John tells, Lazarus died again. I like to think that as Mary and Martha are once more standing beside the tomb of their dear brother, this time without the prospect of a fourth-day miracle, perhaps they remembered that Jesus wept. They remembered that he cared for them in their grief. They remembered that he was touched by their loss and by their mortality, the mortality that all we children of Adam and Eve share, and he wept. This story of the raising of Lazarus is right at the pinnacle of our hope. "I am the resurrection and the life," Jesus says. "Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die." Yet the Jesus who weeps shows us that faith is not an anesthetic. The path to the joy of resurrection goes through the valley of the shadow, and as we walk the path, we must grieve at sickness and evil, injustice and death. But when we must grieve, we can know that our tears are met by the tears of Jesus. And after the tears, Lazarus and we all will finally be raised with Jesus to everlasting life.